John Carter never liked silence. The kind of silence in his late grandfather's house wasn't peaceful. It was the kind that made your skin crawl. Every wooden board creaked like it remembered something. The air was always too still, like it was holding its breath. He had returned to the house after 5 years. After his grandfather passed away, no one touched the place. Now it belonged to John, and he planned to fix it up and sell it. Simple plan. Tear down a few walls, replace some old pipes, clean the dust, and move on. But today, something was different. John stood in the basement with a heavy hammer in hand. He had already removed half the wall on the east side. Behind the bricks, there was supposed to be nothing, just insulation and cement. But what he found stopped him cold. There was metal behind the wall. Not like a pipe or a beam. This was smooth, clean, and oddly shaped. It was like a door. Not a normal one. No handle, no hinges. Just a large, oval-shaped surface, cold and glowing faintly. "What the hell is this?" John whispered. He stepped closer. The surface had strange markings, like symbols, but not from any language he knew. They pulsed gently, blue and silver light dancing across them. He tapped it lightly. It didn't feel like steel or aluminum. It felt ... alive, like it vibrated slightly under his skin. Suddenly, the symbols glowed brighter. He stepped back. Nope. That's not normal. The door made a soft hiss, like it had taken a breath. Then Klika seam appeared down the center, splitting open like it had been waiting for centuries. Darkness filled the space behind the door. Cold air rushed out, chilling the entire basement. John's phone flashlight flickered as he aimed. Inside, the beam showed a narrow tunnel. The walls inside were metallic, lined with soft blue lights. It curved downward, leading to something deep. He hesitated. His breath was visible now. It was that cold. A part of him screamed, "Leave, now. Close the wall. Forget this." But the other part, the curious, foolish part, whispered, "What if this is important? What if this changes everything?" He grabbed a heavy flashlight and a crowbar and stepped inside. The tunnel was smoother than any metal he knew. It had no rust, no dust, and no sound. Just the soft hum of something ancient still running deep beneath the earth. Every step echoed like a drumbeat. He reached the end of the tunnel, which opened into a chamber the size of a small room. In the center stood a large pod, shaped like a cocoon. It floated 2 feet above the ground, held in place by blue light from 4 corners. Inside the pod, a girl floated. John's jaw dropped. She looked human, but not completely. Her skin had a silver tone, her ears pointed slightly back. Long white hair floated in the fluid around her. And she had markings on her arms, glowing like the door symbols. She looked peaceful, almost like she was dreaming. Wires were connected to her back and chest. The chamber around her had strange machines humming softly, as if still caring for her after all these years. John stepped closer. His fingers touched the glass dot suddenly. A screen on the side of the pod blinked to life. A deep voice echoed inside the chamber, mechanical and cold. "Stasis. Breach detected. Emergency wake protocol initiated." John froze. The lights in the pod turned red. The fluid began to drain. The girl's fingers twitched. Her eyes moved behind closed lids. No. John backed away. "I didn't mean to wake her up." The machine voice spoke again. "Bioform active. Alerting command fleet. Coordinates locked." "Command fleet? What command fleet?" John said aloud, panic in his voice. Then he noticed the markings on the wall. Not just decorations, they were maps, star charts, coordinates, alien writing. It wasn't just a hidden room, it was a prison, or maybe a shelter. He turned back to the pod. The girl's eyes snapped open. They weren't human eyes. They glowed faintly with silver light, and they locked onto John with deep sadness and fear. She whispered one word barely audibly yet, somehow. He understood it perfectly. Run. The chamber below John didn't move. The silver-eyed girl inside the pod was now staring directly at him. Her lips had only spoken one word, run, but her eyes, they said much more. They were filled with pain, fear, and something else, something he didn't understand yet. The machines around the pod made high-pitched noises. Red lights pulsed faster. The blue glow from the floor flickered as if the power was failing. John finally took a step back, then another. But something inside him said not to leave, not yet. The pod opened with a hiss. The girl fell forward, her body weak. John rushed and caught her before she hit the cold metal floor. She was warm. Too warm. Her silver-toned skin was soft but shaking. "It's okay." "You're okay," he whispered, not even sure why. He didn't think she'd understand, but, to his shock, she replied, "I know this language you speak." Earth tongue? Her voice was soft and strange, almost musical, but her words were clear. John stared at her in disbelief. "You? You can talk." "I mean, of course you can. What are you?" "I am Ilari," she said slowly. "From the Silaran system. Was supposed to sleep longer." He gently helped her sit against the pod. "How long were you in there?" She looked around the chamber. Her hands touched the ground, as if remembering it. "I entered this pod 312 Earth years ago." John blinked. "What? 300 years?" She nodded. "My people were hunted. I was hidden here by allies from your planet, humans." John asked, "Not all." "A few. They believed in peace." He looked around at the chamber again. "Why were you being hunted?" Ilari didn't answer at first. Her glowing eyes lowered. "Because I carry knowledge. Something others want to destroy." John's heart beat faster. This was beyond anything he had imagined. This wasn't just a secret door or a hidden lab. This was something alien, ancient and dangerous. Suddenly, the chamber's wall lit up. Symbols glowed red. A holographic screen formed in the air. It showed a galaxy map. A blinking dot appeared on Earth. Ilari's face went pale. "They found me." John felt his stomach drop. Who found you?" "The Threx Dominion," she said, her voice trembling. "They are not from your space. They cross galaxies to kill what they fear. They feared me, and now they will come here." John tried to stay calm. "Maybe we can hide you again." Ilari looked at him, sadness deep in her eyes. "It's too late. When I woke, the pod sent a signal. My location is no longer secret." She stood up slowly. Her legs were weak. John supported her. "You shouldn't be walking." "I must. This chamber has weapons, technology. We must destroy the signal before they arrive." John nodded. "All right, tell me what to do." Ilari seemed surprised. "You believe me?" He gave a short laugh. "I just saw a glowing door open, found a space girl in a pod, and watched a map of stars light up on my basement wall." "Yeah, I believe you." She smiled faintly. "Then you are not like most humans I was told about." John felt heat rise to his face, looked away. "Thanks, I guess." Together, they moved to a side panel on the wall. Ilari waved her hand over it. More alien symbols lit up. A compartment opened, revealing a small orb, glowing softly. "This is a disruption pulse. If I place it at the signal source, it will burn the frequency and erase the alert." But she stopped. "But what?" John asked. "It could also destroy the chamber. And me." If I am not strong enough to resist the energy. John stared at the orb. No, we'll find another way. There is no other way, she said calmly. Before he could argue more, the ceiling trembled. Dust fell from above. They both looked up. A low hum filled the air, like thunder trapped underground. They're close, Alari whispered. Faster than expected. Then let's move, John said. They rushed back down the tunnel. The strange blue lights flickered as they ran. Alari held the orb tightly, her eyes scanning every corner. When they reached the door that led to the basement, was already wide open. But something had changed. A shadow stood in the center of the room. Tall, armored. Not human, it turned its head slowly toward them. John stepped in front of Alari. The figure raised its arm, some sort of weapon attached. And then it spoke. Not with words, but directly into John's mind. Surrender the Silaran, or be erased with her. John had never been this scared in his life. The alien figure, tall, armored, and silent, stood in his basement like a nightmare pulled from another world. Its body was covered in black metal, and glowing red lines pulsed across its chest and helmet. The weapon on its arm pointed directly at Alari. The voice echoed inside John's head again. You have 5 seconds to surrender the fugitive. Alari stepped beside John, her voice steady despite her weak body. Threx Enforcer, Model Zeta 5. It will not speak again. It was programmed for one task: terminate. John whispered. Then why did it give us a warning? To measure our fear, she replied. Suddenly, the alien moved. A blast of red energy shot toward them. John pulled Alari behind a support beam just in time. The wooden post exploded and part of the ceiling crashed down. Light bulbs shattered, sparks rained down. Smoke filled the room. John grabbed a metal pipe from the floor and yelled, "This is my house." Alari touched the orb in her hand. It glowed bright blue. No, John shouted. Don't use that thing now, you'll get hurt. She shook her head. Not the pulse. I can shield us for a few seconds. The orb expanded, forming a glowing blue bubble around them. Blast from the enforcer hit the shield and bounced away with a loud crackling sound. Okay, now what? John asked, coughing from the smoke. We must reach the upper floor. If I can access starlight through the window, I can recharge faster. John blinked. You need sunlight. Starlight, even filtered through Earth's sky. It will help. They made a run for the stairs. The enforcer followed, crashing through the basement wall like it was paper. The house shook. Beams cracked. Pictures fell off the walls. They reached the living room. John kicked open a window. Sunlight streamed in. Alari knelt and lifted her arms. The orb hovered above her, absorbing the light. Her skin glowed faintly, like it was drinking the energy. The enforcer jumped up through the floor, landing with a thunderous boom. Its weapon powered up again. Almost, Alari whispered. Just a few more seconds. John picked up a fire extinguisher and hurled it at the alien. It hit the armor and bounced off harmlessly. Okay, bad idea. The enforcer stepped forward. Then Alari stood. Her eyes were now brighter, her body straighter. She raised both hands. You do not belong here. The alien charged. Alari clapped her hands together. A wave of blue energy exploded from her. The enforcer was thrown backward, smashing through the front door and landing outside on the dirt road. John gasped. You did it? But Alari fell to her knees. I bought us time, not victory. They ran outside. The enforcer was gone, but deep in the sky, dark clouds began to swirl. Strange flashes of green lightning danced across the clouds. John looked up. That doesn't look normal. They're opening a rift, Alari said. More of them. Are coming? John pointed toward his truck. We're leaving now. Ilari hesitated. I should not involve you. You have already risked your life. John helped her into the passenger seat. You're not leaving me out of this now. Not after everything I've seen. As they sped away, Ilari closed her eyes. She pressed her fingers to her temple. What are you doing? He asked, sending a message. In the only language they understand. What language is that? Ilari opened her eyes. War. They drove for an hour into the mountains, far from any town. Ilari guided him using only the stars and strange memories. Finally, they reached a valley with no signal, no people, and only silence. There, hidden among trees, stood an old bunker. It looked like a forgotten military shelter. But the door was clearly alien smooth and silver like the one John had found in his basement. Ilari placed her hand on the surface. The door opened silently. John followed her inside. It wasn't a bunker. It was a ship. It had no engines running, no lights on, but its design was sleek, silver, and sharp like a blade. This was my escape, Ilari said. My people built it and buried it here. But the core is dead. It needs a human spark. John looked confused. What's that supposed to mean? She turned to him, eyes glowing softly. You. John stood frozen inside the strange ship. He looked around the silent cockpit. There were no buttons, no screens, just smooth panels and glowing lines across the walls. Everything pulsed faintly like the ship was sleeping. What do you mean me? John asked. Ilari stepped closer. This vessel is not powered by fuel. It responds to thought, emotion, life force. My kind designed it to stay hidden unless activated by a human ally. John blinked. Y2 planned this with humans centuries ago. She nodded. Your ancestors helped us. Few knew about it. We trusted them. He looked around again, and this thing will fly. With just my life force. If your mind is open, your heart steady. Yes, Ilari said softly. But we must act fast. The Threks are almost here. John wasn't ready to pilot an alien ship. He was a handyman, not a hero. But the skies above the mountain told him he had no choice. Thick clouds had returned. The wind howled. And high above they came black triangular ships, silent, smooth, floating through the sky like sharks in water. Their underbellies glowed red. One by one they appeared, spreading out above the valley. Ilari touched the wall. A panel opened, revealing a glowing chair with strange lines running through it. Sit, she said. Trust the ship. It will know. John took a deep breath and sat. The chair adjusted to his body. It hummed beneath him. A strange warmth filled his spine, then his chest. Lights bloomed across the walls. He heard a voice, not Ilari's, but something deeper, older. Pilot confirmed. Human biosignature accepted. John looked around. Did it just talk to me? Ilari smiled faintly. It speaks to your mind, your instincts. It is now your partner. The walls shimmered. Outside, the valley disappeared. The ship had cloaked itself, hidden from enemy eyes. Above them, the Threk ships scanned the area. One stopped directly overhead. They're looking for us, John whispered. Ilari nodded. If they find the ship, they will destroy everything. What do we do? She pointed forward. Fly. John closed his eyes. The ship responded instantly. It lifted gently, smooth and silent, rising like a feather. It passed through the trees without touching a single branch. They were in the sky. Below, the mountain forest looked peaceful. But in the clouds, danger waited. The moment they appeared above the treetops, the nearest Threk ship turned. Target located. The Threk's vessel fired a red beam. John jerked his hands instinctively. The ship rolled sideways, dodging the blast. The movement was smooth, like it was an extension of his body. "Whoa, did I do that?" Ellery smiled. "You're better than I hoped." Two more ships turned toward them. John flew low between the trees, zigzagging between rocky hills and cliffs. Another blast. The ship's shield shimmered. The energy beam hit and bounced off, but the force shook the cockpit. "They're getting closer," he said. "There's a cave ahead," Ellery pointed. "Fly through it. You're crazy. No, trust me." John gritted his teeth and dived. The ship flew into the cave mouth at full speed. Stalactites hung from above. Sharp rocks threatened from every side. But the ship moved like water, curving, turning, dodging behind them. One Threx ship followed. It wasn't as smooth. The cave narrowed. John whispered, "Come on. Come on." Suddenly, the enemy ship clipped a rock. Its side exploded. It smashed into the cave wall, shaking the ground. John whooped. "We got one." "Do not celebrate yet," Ellery said. "Two more remain." They burst out of the cave into open air. The other ships had predicted their path. They hovered on both sides, weapons charging. John's heart pounded. "Brace yourself," Ellery said. She touched the orb she still carried. It glowed on, connected to the ship's core. The ship lit up with blue fire. Wings unfolded from its sides, sleek, razor sharp. The ship wasn't just a transport. It was built to fight. "Now we strike," Ellery said. The ship responded instantly. Energy beams shot from both sides, hitting the first Threx vessel head-on. The second returned fire, but John rolled the ship just in time. He had never flown before, but something inside him knew what to do. The ship was teaching him. With a final burst, he fired again. The second ship exploded mid-air, raining metal over the valley. Silence returned. The skies were empty. John leaned back in the chair, breathing hard. "We did it." Ellery nodded. "You were chosen, John Carter. Not by accident. This ship woke. For you?" He stared at her. "Why me?" "You are the key to what comes next," she said, as the clouds broke above them. Stars became visible, and in the far distance beyond Earth's sky, something was watching. The stars above were quiet, but down below was changing. John Carter stood at the edge of the ship's ramp, staring at the valley below. Smoke from the wrecked Threx ships rose into the sky. The mountain trees were scorched, and the ground was cracked from the blasts. He turned to Ellery. "They'll send more, won't they?" Ellery nodded slowly. "The Threx never stop. If they know you fought back, they'll consider Earth a threat." John looked out again. "Then Earth better be ready." They returned to the house before dawn. It was barely standing now. The front porch was destroyed. The basement caved in, windows blown out. But inside, the hidden chamber still hummed faintly. Ellery sat down near the pod. Her strength was fading again. "You used too much energy," John said. "Rest here. Find help." She touched his hand gently. "Be careful. If others see mere people may not understand." John nodded. "Don't worry. I know someone who can help without questions." He drove to town, keeping his head low. The sky was cloudy again, but this time it wasn't weather, it was the side effects of something bigger. John noticed it. People walking with unease. Dogs barking without reason. Birds flying in strange patterns. The planet felt watched. He pulled up to his old friend Theo's garage. Theo was a retired radio engineer, smart, paranoid, and always building strange machines. Theo stepped outside with a coffee mug. "John Carter, back from the dead." John smiled faintly. "I need your help." Theo laughed. "That bad, huh?" John opened the truck bed. Inside, wrapped in cloth, was a piece of Threx metal taken from the downed ship. Smooth, black, and humming faintly. Theo's smile vanished. "What the hell is that?" "Alien," John said. "And there's more coming." Theo stared at him, then he quietly unlocked the garage. "All right. Show me everything." For hours, John told the story from the hidden door to Ilari, to the battle in the sky. Theo didn't laugh, didn't call him crazy. Instead, Theo grabbed a soldering iron and said, "Let's make sure your girl's ship talks to Earth's machines." Back at the house, LR was waiting. Her strength had returned a little. She stood outside, wrapped in a long coat John gave her, watching the clouds. "They're sending scouts," she said. "I can feel them. Small probes, searching, listening." John explained what Theo was doing. Ilari nodded. "We must connect the starship's core to Earth's satellites. If we do that, we can warn the planet before the real invasion begins." Later that night, Theo arrived with equipment radios, signal boosters, antenna wires. Even a small solar generator. "Your flying metal fish better accept human upgrades," he joked. To everyone's surprise, it did. The alien ship absorbed the devices, its walls reshaped slightly, accepting the wires like vines wrapping around them. Soon, Earth's satellites were connected to the starship's core. A warning pulse was sent across the sky, and humans started noticing. That night, strange lights danced in the sky over cities. Military radar stations picked up unknown signals. Astronomers reported star paths shifting. Whispers spread fast, and then the footage came. A hiker in Alaska posted a shaky video online, bright blue beams firing through a mountain valley, followed by a dark triangle exploding mid-air. Then a child in Brazil filmed a glowing object falling from the clouds. People watched. People believed by morning, Earth was no longer in denial. Governments scrambled for answers. But it was already too late. Threx probes began landing. Not in big cities, but in farms, forests, deserts, quiet places. Observing, watching, preparing, and then one landed near John's house. It arrived like a black tear in the sky, folding space as it appeared. It hovered silently. Ilari walked toward it. John grabbed her arm. "Wait, are you doing?" "I'm not afraid," she said. But John was. He stepped in front of her. The probe unfolded. A small floating figure emerged, cold, sharp, metallic. It spoke. "You are not our concern, human. Step aside." John clenched his fists. "She's under my protection now." The machine's eye glowed red. "You are insignificant." But before it could attack, gunfire rang out. John turned. Half the town was there, his neighbors. Workers, mechanics, and hunters, all holding rifles, tools, even old military gear. Theo stood in front, holding a long-range antenna like a spear. He shouted, "You want her? You go through us." The probe paused. Then it left. Ilari looked around, shocked. These people, why did they come? John smiled. Because humans don't run from a fight when someone they care about is in danger. Ilari stared at the townspeople. For the first time, her eyes filled with tears. You are more than I was told." John placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone anymore." The fire crackled gently inside what was left of John's living room. Windows were covered with metal sheets. The broken walls were patched with tools and spare parts from Theo's garage. People had brought blankets, canned food, water, batteries, everything they had. But no one slept. They all waited. Because they knew more ships were coming. Ilari sat near the fire, staring into the flames. Her silver skin shimmered in the warm light. Her eyes, always glowing softly, now seemed darker, like something heavy lived behind them. John sat across from her. "You've been quiet," he said. "I'm thinking," she replied. "About what?" Ilari looked up slowly. "About whether I should leave or stay." John leaned forward. "You don't have to go. Not now. Not like this." Illyri's voice lowered. "It's not just about me anymore. It's about what's inside me." John frowned. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then placed her hand over her chest. "My body holds a code, one my people created long ago. It's not just knowledge, it's life, a message, a design. If placed inside the right core, it could awaken lost ships, repair broken systems, bring balance to destroyed planets." "That sounds powerful," John said softly. Ilari nodded. "But dangerous. If the Threks get it, they'll erase it. Forever. And if we use it, it could end their grip over the outer galaxies." John stared at the fire, trying to take it all in. "So, your heartbeat is a weapon, or a gift, depending on who holds it." "Yes." John stood and walked to the window. "Then we have to protect you, no matter what it takes." Ilari looked at him. "John, I didn't just come here by accident. I was placed here by design." He turned. "What do you mean?" She stood now too. "Slowly, my ancestors believed one day Earth would produce someone who could carry our legacy forward. Not with technology, but with heart, with bravery, with compassion." She stepped closer. "And I think that person is you." John shook his head. "I'm no savior. I'm just a guy who fixes broken floors and paints old houses." Ilari smiled softly. "You fixed more than that. You faced danger when you didn't have to. You fought not because you understood, but because it was right." John didn't reply. The room felt heavier now. Theo entered quietly, holding a small device. "We've got movement again. Low orbit. Something big this time." Ilari walked over. "How many?" Theo sighed. 3 main ships, bigger than the last ones. And 10 small scouts already headed our way." John clenched his jaw. "We don't have the firepower to stop that." Ilari looked down at the glowing orb she always carried. "There's one thing left." John's eyes narrowed. "No, don't say it." Ilari met his gaze. "The pulse core. If I combine it with the code inside me, we can send a wave strong enough to shut down every Threx vessel near Earth." "But it'll kill you," John said firmly. "You told me that before." "Only if I do it alone," she whispered. Theo stepped forward. "And if she doesn't, we lose the planet. All of it." John looked between them both. His heart raced. "Then I'm helping. She needs a second spark, I'll be it." Ilari touched his hand. "You'll feel pain. Possibly worse." "I don't care," John replied. She looked deep into his eyes. "Then, come with me." They returned to the ship. Townspeople stood around it, forming a line of protection. Some cried. Some just saluted silently. Inside, Ilari led John to the core chamber. It was a round room, filled with floating orbs, humming softly. In the center was a seat shaped like a cradle, surrounded by soft blue light. John took a deep breath and sat. Ilari stood behind him and placed both hands on his shoulders. "Close your eyes," she said. He did. Lights surged, not pain memory. Suddenly, John saw her past her world before war. Giant floating cities, stars that sang. Families laughing in gardens that grew upside, dashed down, then the war. Fire in space, entire moons shattered, ships falling into suns, her people scattering across galaxies. Then, Earth, her arrival, her long sleep, and then him. John opened his eyes. Tears rolled down his cheeks. "I saw everything," Ilari smiled, "and you held it. You didn't break." The ship's core glowed brighter. The ship woke up fully now, systems restored. Outside, the Threx ships arrived. The ship lifted. John and Alari floated together inside the chamber. Glowing with light, Alari whispered, "We're not just sending a signal, we're making a promise." And they did. A wave of energy burst from the ship, blue, wide, endless. It reached every orbiting Threx vessel. Engines shut down. Weapons died. Their ships fell harmless into the sea or vanished into space. The wave passed over Earth, and then silence. The sky was clear again for the first time in days. Earth felt still. The Threx ships were gone, some powered down and left floating in orbit. Others scattered and retreating across deep space. The people of Earth didn't fully understand what had happened, but they knew something had changed. In a quiet mountain valley, the strange alien ship had landed once more. Inside, John Carter opened his eyes slowly. He was lying in a soft pod, surrounded by soft light and humming sound. He blinked, confused at first. His chest felt heavy, but warm. "Alive, Alari?" he whispered. A hand touched his. She stood beside him, smiling gently. "You survived," she said softly. He sat up slowly. "So did you," she nodded. "Because of you." John looked around the chamber. The ship felt different now. Lighter. Brighter. It wasn't just a machine anymore. It felt like it belonged. "What happened?" he asked. "You shared the burden," Alari said. "The wave worked. The Threx are no longer near your planet. And now the ship is fully awakened. It accepted both of us." John rubbed the back of his head. "That doesn't sound normal." "It isn't," she said, smiling. "But neither are you." They stepped out of the ship together. The townspeople were still there, though. The others, some were helping rebuild the damaged house. Others were simply sitting around campfires, talking in quiet voices, as if the stars themselves were listening. When John and Alari stepped onto the grass, everyone turned. A silence fell. Then, slowly, applause, clapping, cheers, smiles. They didn't understand it all, but they understood enough. John raised his hand. "We're okay," he said, "because of all of you." Theo stepped forward and handed John his old tool belt. "You'll need this. Even heroes have to fix things." John laughed and hugged him, but Alari was quiet. She looked up at the sky, then down at her hands. "The message we sent. It wasn't just a weapon," she said. "It was also a beacon." Others heard it. Others, like me. "Are they coming?" John asked. She nodded. "Some to help, some to question. Maybe even more enemies. But Earth is no longer hidden. The universe knows. Humans will fight and protect." John grew serious. "What happens now?" Alari turned to him. "Now, we leave." He blinked. "What?" "My mission isn't over," she said. "There are others, like Meal, lost, scattered. I need guidance. They need hope. And now, I have you." John took a breath. "You want me to go with you?" She stepped closer. "Only if you choose it." He looked around. At the broken house, at the smiling people, at the mountains behind them. This was home. His whole life. But when he looked at her, he saw something bigger, a galaxy of stories, a future that mattered. He took her hand. "I'm ready." Theo stepped forward, eyes a little wet. "You better come back someday, space boy." "I will," John said. "With stories no one will believe." The crowd helped load supplies into the ship. Food, tools, books, even a small Earth flag. Folded neatly in a box. Finally, the ship's door began to close. Alari looked out one last time. "These people, they are stronger than they know." John smiled. "That's humanity, always underestimated." The engines hummed. Light filled the valley, and the ship lifted. It rose into the sky, higher and higher until it became a streak of light across the stars. John stood beside Alari inside the ship, watching Earth shrink behind them. He whispered, "From my basement." To this, she smiled. "Your house was just the beginning. Now you belong to the stars." As the ship vanished into the dark, quiet sky, Earth continued spinning, safe for now. But far beyond, in the endless void, new lights flickered. Signals sent. Doors opening, and deep inside the ship, one room remained sealed, a pod marked not for war, but for a child. Alari placed her hand on her stomach. John looked at her, surprised. She smiled softly. A new spark, a future mix of stars and Earth. John stared at her in wonder. Their journey wasn't over. It had just begun.